Hello, welcome back to another tutorial. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite top 5 sort of new features they've brought into Rhino 7 from Rhino 6. They're not specifically within the same category, so I want to kind of make a quick video that overviews each of these, and then I would like in the future, for example, to make individual videos that sort of break them down even further, especially on, for example, on SUBD, which is the biggest category of these. It's going to be hard to cover all that it encapsulates within one video, so I'm probably going to break that one up into like maybe a series. Yeah, and so okay, let's just start out with immediately with SUBD. Let's get into it. SUBD is the new Rhino 7 method of modeling geometry. Like historically, Rhino has been based around like NURBS geometry, which is like mathematical geometries, which are really hard to create organic forms with. And what SUBD does is it allows you to bring in an organic way of modeling at a very like precise level, which sort of approximates like meshes. Mesh is something from like the game industry, the video game industry, the movie making industry, all of that. They all deal with meshes, which are very computationally lightweight compared to NURBS. So SUBD sort of brings in like the accuracy of NURBS with the flexibility of meshes, and it's a really nice item to fit into that pipeline because it also can flow back and forth between NURBS to meshes. So for example, all of SUBDs are found in this SUBD tool. I'm just going to quickly sort of create something, and then I'll show you the power. So I'm actually, okay, wait. So tab is what is going to change you from this smooth to flat mode for SUBD. As you can see, the rest of nothing else on the field changes. Only the SUBD will change with this. And this is very helpful when you start modeling organically. So let's just say you want to create sort of a chair. So what I'm going to do is hold down Alt, drag up to create a second face. I'm going to, that was Control Shift, click to delete those two. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my shaded back face. And all this is here, go to display options. And you can go here to display modes. And for example, I just went to shaded and made a copy of it. And then in that shaded back, so now that copy of it, I changed this setting, back face settings, single color for all back faces. Because what you'll find, and then I made that gold, so when I'm in that setting, I can see what surfaces are fronts and backs to it. Because this is very important when modeling with SUBD, is that each surface has a front and a back, and they need to correspond to another surface's front and back. And sometimes it'll automatically change for you. For example, if I do this, that was Control Shift and then double click to select the whole edge ring. And then let's bridge those two surfaces. So bridge, enter, and you can see now that when I toggle the smooth mode, I've created first off an organic shape, but it's also flipped that surface for me. So now we have this back face and we have the front face. And this is going to be sort of, or very important when modeling with organic geometry, especially if you want to keep it in any form of cleanliness when modeling. It's essential that you sort of also control those back faces and turning it on. And this is also, if you've modeled with meshes before, you know this. You can't merge the backs of one mesh with the fronts of another mesh, or else it's going to be chaotic. Anyway, so I'm just going to quickly, show you sort of what the powers have given us with SUBD mode. So what I just did right there was Alt drag up to extrude another surface. Then let's bridge those again. So you can see as we have this back of the face, and it's actually becoming the front of the face over here. Then let's Control Shift click on here, Alt drag up. So I just dragged up and created here, let's go to soft mode so you can see what is happening. Topologically, that's a little bit problematic. That's not the nicest thing I've ever done, but for the purpose right now, it's Here, let's scale in. Scale in. Anyways, I'm gonna make a whole tutorial on that, so don't worry about the whole topology yet. That's still to come. But yeah, essentially, it's this way of creating really soft organic geometry that you can use like also creases on to create hard edges. So for example, if I crease this guy here, you can see I'm creating sort of like this hard and soft bodied. It's very interesting and super powerful. A super powerful way of modeling that previously was not in Rhino. So I'm very grateful that that sort of has found its way into Rhino. Anyways, this is atrocious. This is like the worst model I've ever made, but I think it demonstrates also the capabilities. And one more thing. Once again, I'm gonna put this in another video. So actually, I need to delete that. I can't look at that anymore. But let's just say, I'm just going to quickly show you the operability between SUBD to other types of surfaces and geometries. So I'm going to Control-Shift, select those vertices, and then crease. And the way SUBD does it is when it creases vertices, it'll keep them in the same exact spot, which is very nice. So you can control where it's soft and where it's not soft. So let's say I want to use, so this is a SUBD right now, that when I toggle the tab key, it will switch between soft mode and hard mode. And I can, here, let's convert this to a NURBS. So what you do is you type in 2 NURBS, and then there's a series of options, but I'm just going to skip that. So click enter, and now I have a NURBS object that when I toggle SUBD mode, this is now a NURBS object. So I can use this in any sort of architectural geometry, and you can see how quick it was for me to move between those two. And so this is SUBD. We have NURBS here, and now I want to show you what this could be a mesh as well. This has to unfortunately be done in Grasshopper. Is the video still recording? Okay, it is. So this has to be done in Grasshopper. I'm going to bring in a little SUBD container and assign that one SUBD. Then I'm going to hide it in Rhino so I can just see the SUBD. And then mesh from SUBD. And now we can see if we plug these in. So this is just the levels of subdivision. Preview off. We can see here that now we have one output mesh, which is quite easy, right? Super, super convenient. And of course you could change in, let me show that again here. So what I can do is, of course, that was another one of those Control-Shift, drag, and you've recreated that, and then hide again. And I've manipulated that mesh within Rhino. And there's also the SUBD from mesh. So there's a really nice workflow back to between meshes and SUBD. So actually, like, I can bake out again another SUBD at a higher density. So this is really nice when you want to create sort of complex organic geometry and then mesh it and export it to other softwares for Unreal Engine, whatever you want, Twinmotion, Keyshot Render, whatever software you want to do. There's a really nice workflow between SUBD organic modeling now in Rhino and those other softwares. So that's a really nice tool, probably the most powerful tool in Rhino 7. Highly recommend exploring that. Okay, now I'm just going to move on because I can talk about SUBD forever. So quad remesh is another. Rhino is building up its capabilities with meshes, certainly, which I think is important if they want to stay relevant. So quad remesh basically allows you to. I imported this asset from, I forget where I downloaded it, but like CG Trader or whatnot, or Turbo Squid. And so it's a mesh that's made of polygons. I guess all probably triangles. I'm not certain. And it has, here, let's check, Control-Shift right, or select all. It has 2,873 mesh faces. So it has a decent amount of mesh faces, but I really hate the topology of it. So what I'm going to do is use this quad remesh. And wait, before I do that, if I preview this guy, you're going to actually be able to see that triangulation on the skin, which is really not nice when rendering or taking screenshots within Arctic mode or whatever. So I just want to remesh this guy, and not even to mention how topologically powerful it is to have control over your meshes. Like this triangular mesh, there's no control, but it's essential. Okay, and so once you actually quad remesh a guy, you're going to get these series of options, and either you can mesh him in two different ways. One is either the edge length, so you'll specify each edge of that quad, which is the top part, and then there's also the count. So it doesn't matter then the edge length. It'll just remesh roughly that amount of faces. So it's either edge length, or quad number of faces. So let's just do first the 5,000 faces and see what he looks like. It's going to take a second to compute, but here we are. We've lost some of the detail, but especially in the hair, as you can see. But I mean, if you start playing with those settings, you're going to be able to you can find solutions for any of these things. And now what I'm going to do is right click again just to repeat the same command, and let's do edge length 1. Let's try that. I think this is going to take a little bit longer because there's many more here. So this obviously increased the amount of faces, but it also came in at a much higher resolution from what it was before. And let's see. And you can see here, so this is the guy that we had before. He a little polygony. And this is sort of the output. They're much smoother and much topologically nicer as well. So quad remesh finally sort of gives Rhino that control over remeshing your meshes from other softwares or just within the Rhino network. I could talk about this for a lot longer, but I'm gonna keep it moving. Don't want to spend all day. Let's get those guys organized. Okay, the next one. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to recreate this. Let's just quickly make a surface. Mesh. Settings are okay. So I'm just going to make a mesh, and I'm going to delete the NURB surface. So now I have one mesh. What I want to show you is this thing called soft transform, which comes also from Maya. I feel like Rhino is now just like grabbing everything from Maya and Cinema 4D, and or not, maybe not Cinema 4D, but 3ds Max, and then bringing it in and finally implementing it into their own software, which is great. But okay, soft transform is basically going to allow you to select more than one of the vertices you're selecting. So for example, you have to enable it, it's a little bit hard to use. It's not intuitive. So you have to enable it, and you have to control the radius. And let's just see if 100 is enough. So then you have to click enter. So now soft transform is on. And if I shift right click on one vertex, let's see what happens. There we are. It is on and it is working. So I'm going to right click to bring that up again. So it's still enabled. Let's just double the radius, 200. Click enter again and shift right click on this guy. Let's pull it down. And then let's, whatever, pull this thing down and, this thing up. Anyways, you can see how, and the most critical part is actually turning this damn thing off. You have to unenable it or disable it, or else whenever you start selecting things, you're going to select everything around it and it becomes chaotic and you'll wonder why your model isn't working. Anyways, that's soft transform. It's pretty powerful, and you'll definitely find use for it now that you sort of know about it. And the second to last one is name selections. This is another quick one. I'm just going to use this guy. Let's say I want to, I'll show you a little a trick. So I'm doing is Control Shift. I click here, and then I click here to select a whole edge loop. So one click here, and then 2 clicks there, and you basically select the edge loop. Zoom in. No. Okay, so that was a little bit tedious selecting all of those pieces. But wait, actually, let's bring up name selection. So bring that up. I had made one previously. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to save the selection. So I'm going to call it pleat, and enter. And now I can, let's see. Let's bring it up. Let's make it super nice little organic pleat. I mean, that looks pretty good. That looks really good. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go off, what should I model? I'll model, let's go back to SUBD, blah, 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 blah. Let's make a nice little, whatever the hell this is about to be, a nice little pancake. Interesting. And then I'm like, whoa, shit, I need to adjust all those pleats again. I goofed it. So what the power of this is, simply forget not. You don't have to go back and select it. You can just right click on this and bam, you're back in control of your pleats. Let's say you want to make it softer. Simple as that. And if you want to edit or add to it, you just simply click on this and then go about, let's say I want to, add a couple pleats on this guy, on this wonderful little pancake. And then all you do is you save over your previously saved selection, so you add. And now you can, when you click on this, you'll be able to pleat your little pancake, donut, almond as well. Anyways, super easy, native selections. King, thank you McNeil for finally adding that sort of thing. The capabilities are finally getting up to par. Okay, and last one of the day, trying to keep it a little bit simpler. This is the hatch gradient. I don't know how much anyone's going to use this, but it is nice when visualizing within Rhino without going to a secondary software. So anyways, I just created this, and then let's type in hatch, and it already comes up. Basically, it's like this is a normal hatch, and what you have here is it's this linear hatch that can be that you can sort of edit and control here. So you can control the colors. Let's just say, let's make it a nice light blue. Oh shit, there's a second one, interesting. Wait, let's get rid of that one. Okay, so there's one there, and then let's edit this guy and make him also let's make it a little bit darker blue. Oh, okay, great. And then we have another one in here hidden. Let's remove that. Come on. I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to edit that one. Delete that one. No, remove, delete that one then. Okay. All right, fine. They won. So we're going to have to make that blue again. Or green, or whatever. Oh man, it's really wanting to do this. Anyways, you can edit this. You can control this. So when you go and edit, you can drag it around. As you can clearly see, I guess you can see two things. I don't use it that much, and it's a little bit annoying to use, but it is a handy tool. So I'm gonna close this out. And what's really nice about this is, for example, then you're grabbing our nicely remeshed guy. You put him standing next to this lake. Let's give him a ceiling. Oh, fantastic. Really nice architecture. Really nice design. And all of a sudden, you're in screenshot mode taking some nice screenshots of... it's all sort of about that power, right? Of maximizing your time, which this tool definitely allows you to maximize your time and create nicer visually looking things in Rhino. Anyways, that's I think all for today. I'm going to go back and I'm going to make a further tutorial, at least on SUBD, and probably one on quad remesh, because those two are the most powerful. If you have any recommendations for other things you'd like to see, please leave them in the comments, and like and subscribe. I've been trying to pump out these tutorials, sort of mix my my informality, my casualness with this sort of exciting software that I've come to use over the last few years. Well, I guess more than a few at this point, but really trying to impart my knowledge. And so, yeah, thanks for following along with me, and have a good one.